Part 100. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 991. Chapter 991. It's better for girls to drink less alcohol. The screen on the stage is still playing various video clips of children in a loop, mixed with the introduction content. Xia Ying looked at the living environment of those children and the desire for knowledge and school emanating from their sincere eyes, and her heart felt heavy and uncomfortable. "Do you have a child you would like to sponsor alone?" Li Sen asked aloud. His voice was very soft, but it was enough for Xia Ying to hear. Xia Ying was interrupted by Li Sen's words, which interrupted her thoughts just now. Xia Ying turned her head and looked at him, her eyes gleaming. "Yes, there are too many." Xia Ying blinked, trying to restore the normal humidity to her moist eyes. "You can send me all the information about these children later, and I will support them until they go to college." Li Sen pursed his lips and continued, "Actually, there are many such children. This society is not as harmonious and happy as we see." Xia Ying nodded in agreement, and then said to Li Sen as if she had thought of something, "When did you want to do such a charity event?" "I've always wanted to." Li Sen raised the red wine glass, shook it gently, then brought it to his mouth to take a sip, and then said, "Because I have been abroad, I have paid attention to the situation of these children in China, and I thought that if I returned to the motherland one day, I must do my best to help them. But there are too many such children, and I am weak, so I want to call on my business partners to help." Li Sen paused and then said, "I know that our country in China has such an institution, but after layer of review, the money and materials cannot get into the hands of the children. Not only does it take a long time, but also, we don't know when the time comes. Will it be swallowed up by some unscrupulous people? It is safer and more practical to do such things by yourself." "You are nice." Xia Ying sighed with emotion. "There are too many rich people in this society. If everyone lends a helping hand, the lives of these children will not be so difficult. Even the most basic education cannot be enjoyed. Arrive." Indeed, Li Sen nodded, then raised his glass again, wanting to clink glasses with Xia Ying. Xia Ying usually didn't drink much alcohol, but Li Sen was like this, so she couldn't refuse, so she picked up the glass and clinked it. A moment, then a symbolic sip. "There's no good wine to entertain, I hope you don't mind it?" Xia Ying smiled faintly. "No, actually, I don't usually drink." Li Sen narrowed his eyes and said, "It's good, girl. It's better to drink less, especially when you're outside." Xia Ying just chuckled and did not answer. After the video on the screen finished, it was time to donate money. Everyone came up on stage, wrote a check, and put it into the donation box. When Xia Ying voted, Li Sen turned sideways and accidentally saw it. After stepping off the stage, he whispered next to Xia Ying, "Thank you very much." "You're welcome. Offering love is always a good thing, there's nothing you can't say thank you for." Xia Ying also noticed Li Sen's gaze just now. When she cast her gaze, he probably saw the specific number. But this is nothing. Xia Ying just noticed that Mu Niankai, that silly kid, was crying with tears and snot in his eyes while watching the video, and kept crying in Hanzige's arms. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 992. Chapter 992, He still has such a soft heart. Mu Niankai, a person like Mu Niankai, who grew up in fine clothing and fine food, has never had any worries, and has never paid attention to the dark corners of society. Probably he has never thought that there are still such a group of people in the world living such a life. Not to mention what to eat and what to wear, it is difficult for them to even have enough food and clothing. Mu Niankai felt that her worldview had been refreshed, and she began to regret her previous arrogant and luxurious life. She had wasted too many things that were unattainable in the eyes of children. She has always known that there will be poor people in this world if there are rich people, but Muniankai's concept of poverty has not reached this level yet, and it really makes people burst into tears just looking at it. According to Xia Ying's understanding of Muniankai, this girl might have donated a lot of money. Hanzija has been comforting her in a low voice, and Muniankai no longer cares about her appearance. Her makeup is stained by tears, but she still can't stop her tears. That friend of yours, is she okay? Li Sen noticed something strange about Muniankai. Not only Li Sen, but also everyone at the party noticed. Even though everyone was looking at Muniankai couldn't control her emotions. Hanzija's face turned dark. He didn't expect that his girlfriend, who was usually as tough as steel, would have such a soft heart. It was the first time she knew about these phenomena, and it was also the first time she learned about these children, so she inevitably lost control of her emotions. Xia Ying looked at Muniankai, whose eyes were crying like rabbits, and explained. Li Sen smiled lowly and said, "Your friend is very cute. You and your friends are very caring." Xia Ying also smiled back at Li Sen and said nothing. After the party, Muniankai's eyes were still red, but fortunately the tears stopped. "I'll take you home." Li Sen beside Xia Ying asked softly. "No need, Muniankai and I will go together. You are also very tired today, so go home and rest early." Xia Ying rejected Li Sen's request without any hesitation. "Oh well." Li Sen glanced at Hanzija and Muniankai beside Xia Ying. They had already made a move to leave together. He didn't know what to say, so he nodded in agreement. "Be careful on the road." After Li Sen finished speaking, he helped Xia Ying open the car door in a gentlemanly manner. "Thanks." Xia Ying thanked her and went in. "As for what I told you that day, I will send you a document in the evening. When the time comes, remember to receive it." When Li Sen said this, the expression on his face was somewhat intriguing. Hanzija and Muniankai were confused when they heard this, but Xia Ying reacted instantly. The reason why he agreed to Li Sen's participation in this party was also because Li Sen said that he had relevant evidence about Liang Ye's incident. Although Xia Ying didn't know what evidence he had in his hand and where it came from, it was enough to have some relevant evidence. Muniankai thought of something, and walked up to Li Sen and confessed, "If there is another event like this in the future, please tell me. This is my business card. My name is Muniankai. Please remember it calls me. I will definitely do it. Thank you to Miss Mu and Mr. Han for their help today." Li Sen took Muniankai's business card, showed a standard smile, and said. Muniankai was pulled away by Hanzija after repeated warnings. When the car started, Li Sen stood behind him and watched until the car completely disappeared from sight. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 993. Chapter 993, Can't the attribute be changed? Muniankai kept turning around and looking behind her. It wasn't until the car turned a corner that Li Sen could no longer be seen that Muniankai turned her head around. However, as soon as Muniankai turned around, she bumped into Hanzija's sad look. "What are you doing?" Muniankai was startled by Hanzija's expression. She looked at him with wide eyes and said angrily. "What else are you looking at when everyone is gone?" Hanzija said sourly. Muniankai was stunned for a moment before realizing that Hanzija was jealous. Muniankai thought so, put her hands on her hips without mercy, and laughed uproariously in the car. "Ha ha ha ha, Hanzija, are you so jealous?" Hanzija had already become jealous a few times this evening alone. Muniankai looked like she had discovered a new world, mixed with gloating about her misfortune. All kinds of emotions were mixed together, and she smiled extremely cheerfully. Hansaja's face became increasingly gloomy. Is he being too spoiled to this girl? I'm just checking to see if Li Sen really likes Xia Ying. Xia Ying, who was suddenly called, was startled, looked sideways at Mu Niankai, and asked in confusion, "What are you talking about? Where am I talking nonsense?" Mu Niankai became serious and analyzed Xia Ying calmly. Based on Mu Niankai's experience of watching Korean dramas for so many years, there is no doubt that Li Sen likes you. Let's not talk about the various things tonight. He looked at you with tender eyes, and just now, he said he wanted to take you home, but then you didn't get into his car, and he watched your car go away helplessly. Stop it. Xia Ying stopped Mu Niankai's tirade and explained helplessly, these are basic polite issues. You are just overthinking them. And Li Sen said he is a fan of mine, so he pays attention to me a little bit, it's not necessarily the emotion you mentioned. Mu Niankai did not accept Xia Ying's official rhetoric, no, don't doubt my judgment of people, okay. Moreover, Hansaja, a big man, saw this first and then told me, well, how could it be wrong? As Mu Niankai spoke, she poked Hansaja with her finger and asked him to say a few words for her. Hansaja was still struggling with what he had just been jealous of. He was wondering if he was really too naive. Only then would he be laughed at by Mu Niankai. Ah! Hansaja, who was suddenly pulled into the topic, was not ready to speak. Hansaja, don't you think Li Sen is interested in Xia Ying? Yes. Hansaja immediately agreed with Mu Niankai's words without any hesitation or thought. Mu Niankai said whatever he said was what he said. Even if it was not true, he would not dare to object. Forget it, I won't talk to you anymore. Xia Ying gave up her defense directly, waved her hand, and said nothing more. Although Li Sen is very good, Yu Lingfeng is 1 in a million from his face to his figure, every part is perfect, okay. Mu Niankai said to herself. Xia Ying was non-committal and thought it would be better not to speak. But as Hansaja listened, he felt something was getting more and more wrong. Couldn't Mu Niankai, a nymphomaniac, change her attributes? It's okay to change it a little bit. Don't become a nymphomaniac when you see a slightly better man. Although, Hansaja admitted that he was indeed not as good as Yu Lingfeng. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 994. Chapter 994, Names are all just for fun. As soon as Xia Ying got home, she received a document from Li. Senator Xia Ying couldn't wait to open it. Li Sen wrote above that the main behind-the-scenes operator is Bianhua Entertainment Company. Bianhua Entertainment Company. Xia Ying thought about it in her mind for a long time, but could not think of any information related to this company. Xia Ying searched this company on Baidu and found that it was indeed a newly established company. The information on Baidu Encyclopedia is extremely simple. The personnel within the company are unknown. Who is the chairman, including the shareholders, etc. are unknown. The only thing I know is that it is Xiao Ran's contract company, and the company also has a group waiting to debut called Wings Youth League. Xia Ying clicked on the member information of the Winged Youth League and found that it was a group that had not yet officially debuted, but it had already entered the promotion period and was expected to officially debut next week. Xia Ying scrolled to the member information column and couldn't help but let out a disdainful sneer. Isn't this the person she kicked out some time ago? It was the group of people who laughed at Liang Ye. Xia Ying admitted that their abilities were pretty good, but their character really disagreed. So Xia Ying fired them without thinking at that time. She didn't expect that after being fired by her, they would climb to the top so quickly and were about to make their debut. However, Xia Ying always felt that this matter was not that simple. Her company is called Thornbird Entertainment Company, and the other party is called Bianhua Entertainment Company. They signed contracts with people she didn't want. Moreover, they also spread rumors about Liang Ye, and most importantly, Xiao Ran was from that company. The more she thought about it, the more Xia Ying felt that this matter was not simple. Xia Ying felt that all of this was due to Xiao Ran deliberately going against herself. She is still unwilling to admit that she is Xia Menjian, but the things she does behind the scenes, one by one, all indicate that she is Xia Menjian. Since she has hit the muzzle of the gun herself, Xia Ying will naturally not be lenient. Xia Ying selected some representative evidence from Li Sen and posted it on Weibo. She also called Bianhua Entertainment and asked for an explanation. As soon as Xia Ying posted this Weibo post, it immediately caused a stir on the internet. It even posted a chat recording file between Bianhua Entertainment and the trolls. It was clear how much the starting price of a rumor was, and how much the price would increase after how many times it was forwarded. These evidences are all solid, crystal clear, and cannot be denied. Thorn bird, flower of the other shore, the names are all here to touch porcelain, right? Internet trolls are really disgusting. It's really shameless to do it for that little money. Haven't there been many celebrities who were driven to death by online violence before? Fortunately, Liang Ye met a good boss and good colleague. Nowadays, being a low-key celebrity can be criticized by some people. The entertainment industry is really in trouble. Just wait for a certain company to close down. Public opinion is getting stronger and stronger. On the internet, companies such as Bianhua Entertainment and others have been scolded by netizens, but Bianhua has been as quiet as a chicken, without any voice or explanation. At this moment, inside Bianhua Entertainment Company, Xiao Ran had just finished shooting an advertising video. During his break, he was sitting in his nanny car and scrolling through Weibo, thinking about posting a Weibo post to share his work. But I didn't expect that as soon as I opened Weibo, I found that my company was being scolded bloody. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 995. Chapter 995. Don't you think you are mentally retarded? Xiao Ran clenched his fists in anger, and his long pointed nails dug into his flesh, leaving several deep red marks. A bunch of wastes, can't do anything well. Xiao Ran called and was scolded. Don't be angry, we will handle this matter, but we don't know how the other party did it. We were the only ones present at the time, and we don't know who rebelled and made such a recording document. Stupid is stupid. If it were done well, would something like this happen? Do you know that netizens have already posted comments on my Weibo? Please take care of it as soon as possible, otherwise don't blame me for being rude. Xiao Ran hung up the phone angrily. Xiao Ran's assistant saw that Xiao Ran was angry and wanted to comfort him, but didn't know what to say. Xiao Ran's temper is really not something that ordinary people can endure. In less than a year since Xiao Ran debuted, she has had more than a dozen assistants. This alone shows how difficult she is to serve. If you talk too much or say the wrong thing, she will say you are useless, just don't say anything, and she will think that you are useless, you are useless. In short, there is no one who can really comply with her wishes. How about we think of a way to test each other one by one to see how the other party reacts, and then blow up the person who is really rebellious. The assistant carefully came up with an idea. Xiao Ran stared at her with a cold face. Just such a look frightened the little assistant. Sometimes, no matter how beautiful Xiao Ran's face is, when she stares at you, you feel like you are looking at a witch. 3 souls and 7 souls would be stared at by her. Don't you think the method you mentioned is retarded? Xiao Ran sneered and said, each businessman is better than the other, how can you still try to deceive them with this little trick? She is indeed a girl who is inexperienced in the world and knows nothing. Sooner or later she will find an opportunity to fire her. The assistant hesitated and didn't know what to answer, and his eyes kept evading. It's so stupid. I can do it myself. Look at what stupid things those people who think they are smart have done. How can you compare with others with your brain? The assistant was trained so much that she didn't dare to say a single word, so she had to endure it silently. Anyway, it wasn't the first time she was said like this, so she got used to it. Xiaoran looked out the window and brainstormed silently in his mind. If there is a traitor, who is it? Xiaoran's eyes were darkened, and a person seemed to pop up in his mind. Xiaoran sent a text message, "Why are you doing this?" After a long time, Xiaoran did not wait for a reply from the other end. Li Sen looked at the screen of his mobile phone with no expression on his face, and just crossed out and turned off the phone. If you do this, Xiaoran will know sooner or later. Li Sen's assistant couldn't help but said. She already knows. When Li Sen said this, the expression on his face did not fluctuate, as if everything was as he expected. Li Sen took a puff of cigarette lightly, looking like he was peacefully passing through the years. Then what are you going to do? Li Sen spat out the circles in his eyes and looked at his assistant. I just want her to know. As for how to do it, it depends on her performance. The assistant was confused, but as long as it was said by his own president, there was no need to doubt that he had already arranged everything. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 996. Chapter 996. If you want to do it, you have to knock it down with one blow. At Xia Ying's insistence, those companies were sued and a large amount of compensation was paid. In addition, after this lawsuit, the reputation of several companies was damaged and they declared bankruptcy. Although the remaining ones are still there, the market has been greatly affected, and their stocks have fallen again and again. The largest of them, Bianhua Entertainment, originally planned to debut the Wings Youth League, but due to repeated delays in lawsuits over reputation rights, it has not yet debuted. Because Xiaoran is now the only signed artist of Bianhua to debut, many radical netizens even directly vented their anger on Xiaoran and said some unpleasant things on Xiaoran's Weibo. Xiaoran is now also a first-line actress in the entertainment industry, and she still has a large fan base. How can she bear the injustice of her idol? Fans help Xiaoran clear her name online every day. The company's affairs have nothing to do with the artist, and the artist will not take the blame. Xiaoran looked at the angry netizens on Weibo and was furious. At this time, Xiaoran received a call. Xiaoran glanced at it and saw that the caller ID was Jiaonan. Xiaoran hung up the phone several times, but Jiaonan kept insisting on calling. Xiaoran immediately answered the call and scolded the other person, "You traitor! You still have the nerve to call." Jiaonan smiled lowly, and the laughter sounded particularly harsh to Xiaoran's ears, like a mockery. "What's wrong, are you angry now? What if I didn't? I was really blind before I cooperated with you. Aren't you going to listen to my idea?" Jiaonan's laughter gave off a hint of yuppie. "What do you think?" "Haha," Xiaoran sneered, and then said, "Isn't your idea just to forget your true love? Is it Li Sen? You even changed your name specifically to seduce that Xia Ying? Hey, don't think I don't know what you did behind the scenes. You said you wanted to take revenge for Chiao Na, and you said you wanted to cooperate with me, but when you saw that little prodigal hoof, you lost your soul, right? You really make me nauseous. Have you had enough scolding?" The voice on the other end became colder and no longer had the careless tone at the beginning, as if he didn't care. "Do you think that if I don't tell others about your little tricks, they won't be able to find out?" Jiaonan sneered twice. "Isn't it ridiculous? Miss Xiaoran, even if you want to do something to fight back, this method is too stupid and ridiculous, right? If you want to do it, just knock it down with one blow. What does it mean to just scratch a little itch?" Xiaoran's face, which was originally full of anger, actually drooped after hearing Xiaonan's words. For a moment, he didn't know what to say in response. I'm changing my name and background now just because I want to get in touch with Xia Ying faster and become friends with her. When she becomes less and less wary of me, I can strike with a fatal blow. Xiaonan said, blowing out another smoke ring, looking triumphant. Oh, don't think of all this too simply. Xiaoran said coldly, there are many high-ranking people around her. If you want to have a good relationship with her, it will be difficult to achieve success. I just want to destroy her step by step. If you want to kill her with one move, that's a good idea. But you underestimated her ability. She is not as weak as you look. That woman has many tricks you can't think of. Xiaoran still remembers what happened back then. Xia Ying is the most vigilant person. It is almost impossible for her to let down all her guard against you. Is it? Xiaonan chuckled and said disapprovingly, then I just want to try it. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 997. Chapter 997. None of the Jiao family are fuel-efficient lamps. Oh, then I wish you success. Xiaoran sneered, and then said, also, I don't care what you plan to do, but after all, we are a cooperative relationship now, so please tell me before you do anything that harms my interests, okay? There was a disdainful laugh from the phone receiver, followed by a slow reply, I have no intention of harming your interests. Just kidding. Isn't this the big bad wolf who ate the little white rabbit and then pretended that he didn't do it on purpose? Does this Xiaonan really think that she, Xiaoran, is a vegetarian? I am calling this time to formally invite you, Xiaoran, to sign with my company. Our company will allocate top-notch resources for you and promote you as a top lady in the entertainment industry. Xiaoran opened his eyes wide and didn't know how to answer. Is Xiaonan serious? Although their Jiao family business is no longer as good as it used to be, their entertainment company is still very famous in the entertainment industry, with many popular artists under it. Is Xiaonan sincere in inviting her to sign a contract? Why are you still hesitating? Xiaonan saw that Xiaoran didn't answer him for a long time, so he continued, since it is cooperation, there must be a sense of cooperation. Is this arrangement sincere enough? As for liquidated damages and so on, you don't have to worry, our company will give you an advance. As long as you are in our company, I will have the confidence to praise you as a national goddess. You must know that your ranking is still behind Xia Ying on that list. When Xiaoran heard this, he clenched his fists. What is your purpose? It was said to be cooperation, but why did Xiaonan interfere with her so much? What does her development in the entertainment industry have to do with him? Purpose? Isn't our common purpose to deal with Xia Ying? Xiaonan continued, Xia Ying is now a goddess with 0 negative reviews in the entire country of China. With her appearance, background, and talent, what is not something that is highly praised by the Chinese people? When it comes to goddesses and the like, who is the first? Isn't she Xia Ying that you're thinking of? If you want to fight her, you're still far away. Pulling Xia Ying off and letting you take office is a good thing for both of you and me. This kind of business won't be a loss. You're right. Xiaoran was moved and said, okay, I agree to sign a contract with you. That's good. Since you have signed a contract with our company, you must also pay attention to certain behaviors of yours. Although I don't know what background you have to do whatever you want in the entertainment industry, but your temper, even if you are just pretending, you must please restrain yourself. If someone captures something that day, it will be ruined, even if you have a bad personality. How popular a person is will be when something happens to him. I believe you will know this. Got it? Xiaoran was silent for a while before replying, I know. You don't need to worry about it. Isn't it just pretending? She doesn't know anything else but acting, That's her strength. Okay, now that it's been agreed, you can just sign the contract now. I've already had someone send it to you. It will probably arrive in a few minutes. After Xiao Nan finished speaking, he let out a few triumphant laughs. Xiao Ran frowned. This guy actually expected that he would be persuaded by him. He even managed the time so well that the contract was already on the way. As expected, none of the Chiao family is a fuel-efficient person. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 998. Chapter 998. The character design is finally established. As expected, not long after Xiao Nan hung up the phone, her aunt had already walked up to Xiao Ran and told her that someone was looking for her outside. Xiao Ran put down his phone in surprise and thought about Xiao Nan for a long time. That person was so skilled that Xiao Ran wasn't sure if he would be eaten to pieces by him if he cooperated with him in the end. After Xiao Ran got the contract, he glanced at it briefly. It was a very ordinary contract, just an ordinary signing contract, but one of the clauses was particularly eye-catching. During the contract period, Party B can terminate the contract at any time and does not need to pay compensation for breach of contract gold. What kind of medicine is sold in Xiaonan's gourd? You can terminate the contract at any time without penalty. Does Xiaonan think highly of him, or is he determined not to leave him casually? The more Xiao Ran thought about it, the weirder he felt in his heart, but at the moment, besides compromising, after signing this agreement, he had no other better choice. If this Xiao Nan is a friend, then the probability of success in making friends with such a smart person must be very high. If he is an enemy, then Xiao Ran is very likely to get herself involved. No big deal, she'll just take a gamble. Xiao Ran thought so, lowered his head and signed his handsome name, and then handed the contract to the person who sent it. After everything was settled, Xiao Ran posted a Weibo statement stating that he had terminated his contract with Bianhua Entertainment and also made his position clear. She herself despises this unethical behavior. In addition, regarding the unprovoked anger on her Weibo during this period, Xiao Ran said that she would no longer pursue it, but if such a thing happens in the future, she will definitely pursue it to the end. Xiao Ran's Weibo has undoubtedly become a hot search on Weibo, and the comments below are also positive and supportive of Xiao Ran. Support Goddess Xiao Ran. This is originally the company's problem, not the artist. It's no doubt that those who dissed Xiao Ran before were really trolls. Support. Leaving that kind of hot chicken company will be good for your development. There is nothing good to do in the garbage company. Come on Xiao Ran. Why don't some conspiracy theorists who say Xiao Ran is the mastermind behind the scenes stop jumping around? Are they all dead? Everyone has terminated their contracts now, so now they are finally clean. The keyboard warrior really doesn't need any brains when speaking. Not long after, Chiao's Entertainment retweeted Xiao Ran's Weibo with the following message: "Welcome to join." Such an official tone, Xiao Ran guessed it was what Xiao Nan meant. Not long after, the topics of Xiao Ran terminated the contract and Xiao Ran signed a contract with Chiao Entertainment exploded on Weibo. At this time, a commenter on Xiao Ran's Weibo responded with a question: "Goddess Xiao Ran, it is said that the liquidated damages of Bianhua, a garbage company, are very high. Will you go bankrupt because of this?" The replies below are all the same: "We will take care of Xiao Ran when he goes bankrupt." In any case, it is all about establishing a noble image for Xiao Ran, who is above the mud but not stained by it. Xiao Ran has not been in the industry for a long time. Although he has become popular very quickly, he does not have much savings, so some people would ask such questions. It just so happened that Xiao Ran also needed such a comment to portray himself. Xiao Ran replied, "It doesn't matter how much money you lose, your reputation is the most important, and it's not worth it to make money for this kind of company." The replies below are all similar to Xiao Ran domineering. Xiao Ran raised his lips and smiled, very satisfied. Now, her character has been completely established. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 999. Chapter 999 Gambling with One's Own Life. Xia Ying looked at the news on Weibo and put down her phone angrily. This Xiao Ran is really capable. I don't know why I hooked up with Xiao's entertainment. Ever since Xia Menjian changed her face and appeared in the world under the name Xiao Ran, she seemed to have really changed. Not to mention all kinds of luck, there always seemed to be various noble people around me to help. Xiao Ran's life is considered cheating? Xia Ying chuckled, but so what? Regardless of whether it is Xia Menjian or Xiao Ran, they are just cannon fodder after all. At this time, Yu Lingfeng walked towards Xia Ying. Xia Ying also noticed this with a heavy look on her face. What's wrong? Xia Ying asked. The Sanskrit sound is still not found. Since the last time Yu Lingfeng fought with those people, there has been no news about them. The Sanskrit sounds have disappeared, and Rong Kai is the most nervous one. Rong Ci even took the initiative to go to the Shadow Hunter organization and ask them to help him find a reaction and confront Jian Shat. Although the Shadow Hunters and Qinsha are competitors, the two organizations have always been incompatible with each other. What's more, Fanyan no longer belongs to the Shadow Hunters organization, so the Shadow Hunters have no right to interfere with their Qinsha behavior. Although Qinsha is rumored to have declined long ago, Shadow Hunters know that the ancient gods in Qinsha are still there, and none of them are fuel-efficient lamps. Among the top 10 killers, 7 are from Qinsha. You can imagine how strong Qinsha is. If there was no real dispute, the Shadow Hunters would not dare to provoke Qinsha's people. Rong Ci must be very anxious. Xia Ying sighed. He went to the Shadow Hunter organization for help and was rejected, but he was unwilling to give in and said he would ask their master again. Didn't the Shadow Hunter's master never show up? Whether they are the gang leader of Qinsha or the master of the Shadow Hunters, these two people are very mysterious existences in the world. Not only outsiders, but also their own people have never seen them. I told Rong Ci before that the Shadow Hunter's master is most likely his biological father. He is probably ready to take a gamble. Yu Lingfeng frowned when he said this. Xia Ying seemed to smell something amiss. Gamble? How? Yu Lingfeng looked at Xia Ying, moved his throat, and then said, gamble with your own life. Xia Ying's pupils dilated instantly and her mouth opened wide. For a moment, she didn't know what to say in response. At this moment, Rong Ci was standing by the windy river, watching the rough waves under his feet changing back and forth one after another. At this moment, his heart was like these waves. If it is true as Yu Lingfeng guessed, the Shadow Hunter's master is his father. He tied the Sanskrit to himself just to convert himself to him many years later. As for the Sanskrit, it was nothing more than a shackle to connect the father and son. So, if he seeks death now, will he step in to stop him? Only the top Shadow Hunters can talk to their master. Rong Ci has asked him to pass on his words. At this moment, he just wants to take a gamble to see if he will appear when his life is in danger. Rong Ci closed his eyes, made up his mind with a thought, and then jumped into the rolling river. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1000. Chapter 1000. He already knew it. It was now the dead of winter, and the icy cold river water overflowed Rong Ci's body. He felt like every cell in his body was roaring and accusing. Rong Ci felt that his body was getting heavier and heavier, and he almost gave up the chance to struggle in the water. At the moment when he was about to die, Rong Ci felt as if he had returned to more than 10 years ago. At that time, Fanyan was still a timid child who would only hide behind Rong Si when something happened. At that time, Fanyan still had a smile. Unlike now, Fanyan himself may have forgotten how beautiful he looked when he smiled. It would be great if nothing changed because of that incident. If nothing changes, Sanskrit will always be by his side, at least, he will not suffer those hardships again. However, all these are just what-ifs, and what-ifs are often the most despairing. There was obviously hope, but in the end only disappointment and frustration were left. Just when Rong Si gave up his dying struggle, a strong arm suddenly came in from the water and picked him up. Later, Rong Si gradually lost consciousness. He only knew that the one who saved him was a man whose face cannot be seen clearly. Later, when Rong Si woke up, he vomited a lot of water and felt completely exhausted. Rong Si climbed up from the ground with difficulty and looked at the back of the man in black standing in front of him. The man was tall and straight, and his face could not be seen, but he gave people an inexplicable sense of majesty and did not dare to approach him. "You're awake." With a calm tone, he didn't even look back at Rong Si. He just said in a cold voice, "Master has promised to help you find the Sanskrit sound." Rong Si rubbed his painful temples. After reacting for a while, he asked, "What did he say?" "I just agreed, there's nothing else to say." The man turned sideways and glanced at Rong Si. Rong Si still hadn't understood the complicated meaning in his eyes. Why doesn't he come out in person? Rong Si thought that the person who saved him was the so-called master, but in the end, he was just the person who sent messages for him. "Who do you think you are? Do you think you can see the master if you want to?" The man was very disdainful. Rong Si did not intend to talk to him, but just asked, "What is he going to do?" "You don't have to worry about this. The master will naturally have his own way. By the way, if you want to seek death again next time, there is no need to say anything. The master is not that interested in the life and death of an ant." "Ah!" Rong Si sneered. After all, he just didn't want to see him. If you really don't care about his life or death, why did you send people to watch him for fear that he would seek death? In the final analysis, he still owed him something. "I'll take you back." The man turned around and was about to help Rong Si leave, but Rong Si waved his hand and refused. Rong Si's eyes were filled with cold light, and he stared at the man for a while, then gritted his teeth and said, "No need." Rong Si pushed him away and staggered away. The tiny device placed in the man's ear suddenly heard a mechanical male voice. "What did he say?" "Master, I think he probably knows." The man stared at Rong Si's back for a while, until he left his sight. He already knew it, otherwise, he wouldn't have gambled with his life. End of this chapter.